At 2:48 in the morning on April 14, 2026, fire crews in Shenzhen, China responded to a structure fire at BYD's number 20 factory, the largest electric vehicle manufacturer on the planet. What they found when they arrived was not a fire they could fight. Thick, black smoke visible from miles away, flames stretching across an entire section of the building, a nearby school closed, roads locked down in every direction. And then BYD issued a statement that ended the conversation before it started. The fire, they said, was caused by a contractor improperly handling materials while dismantling equipment. Insulation ignited. Battery failure was definitively not involved. Case closed. Move on. But here is what that statement does not explain. Why once the ignition happened, the fire became uncontrollable so fast that exterior operations were the only option available to responding crews. Why the structure itself made suppression essentially impossible before a single battery reached thermal runaway. And why the same scenario, different ignition source, same outcome, is waiting at EV storage facilities on every continent right now. The fire at BYD's factory was not primarily a battery story. It was an infrastructure story. And the infrastructure problem is much larger than one building in Shenzhen. To understand what happened, you need to understand what was burning and why the structure itself was the critical variable. BYD's number 20 factory uses what the company calls a stereo garage, an automated parking structure designed for one purpose: maximum vehicle density. This is not a conventional parking garage where vehicles are driven in and parked in marked spaces with drive lanes between them. In an automated stereo system, vehicles are loaded onto mechanical platforms and stacked in 3 dimensions using a combination of conveyors and lifts. No drive lanes, no walkways between cars, just vehicles packed as tightly as the mechanical system allows, stacked vertically to the ceiling. The engineering logic is sound. In urban manufacturing environments where land is expensive, automated stacking systems allow you to store significantly more vehicles in the same footprint. BYD uses them at multiple facilities. They are not unique to China. Automated parking structures are operating in Japan, Germany, the United States, and across Southeast Asia. From a fire suppression standpoint, they are close to a worst-case scenario. In a conventional parking structure, fire crews can enter, locate the involved vehicle, and attempt targeted suppression. In an automated system, that option disappears within minutes of ignition. The mechanical infrastructure that moves the platforms, including the conveyors, the lifts, and the control systems, fails early under heat exposure. Once those systems lock up, every vehicle in the structure is fixed in place, inaccessible, with no path for crews to advance water to the seat of the fire. Your options reduce to exterior operations or a controlled burn, and the exposure problem compounds immediately. Vehicles stacked on platforms with minimal clearance between them mean that once one vehicle ignites, the vehicles beside it, above it, and below it are already within the fire's reach. Vertical spread in a stacked system is not slowed by distance. It is accelerated by proximity. Now here is the question that no coverage of this fire has asked directly. Did this structure have a fire suppression system? And if it did, why did it fail to contain the fire in its early stages? The answer to the first question is possibly not. In many open-air or semi-enclosed parking structures, fixed suppression systems are not required by code, including in jurisdictions where BYD operates. China's fire code requirements for automated vehicle storage structures are inconsistently applied across provinces and facility types. But even assuming a suppression system was present, the fire load in this structure creates a specific problem that standard sprinkler engineering does not account for. Sprinkler systems are designed to a fixed pressure and flow rate, calculated for a defined fire load, typically a single compartment or a limited number of activation heads. When a large number of vehicles ignite in close proximity simultaneously, the number of activated heads exceeds the system's design parameters. Pressure drops across the network, and the flow rate at each individual head falls below the suppression threshold. The system activates, but it cannot deliver enough water where it needs to go to knock the fire down. This is not a hypothetical failure mode. It is a documented phenomenon in large vehicle storage fires going back decades, studied extensively after a series of catastrophic ferry and car transport vessel fires in the 1990s and the early 2000s, where vehicle deck suppression systems activated but failed to prevent total loss. The physics in an automated parking structure are functionally identical. Now let's address what BYD's statement was actually doing and what it was not doing. Saying the fire was caused by a contractor mishandling insulation material is almost certainly true. It is also almost entirely beside the point. An ignition source is just an ignition source. What determines whether that ignition source produces a manageable fire or an uncontrollable one is what it encounters after it starts. In this structure, it encountered hundreds of vehicles, scrap, and end-of-life test units, stacked in mechanical proximity with no firefighter access, and suppression infrastructure that was either absent or inadequate for the fuel load present. A modern vehicle, gas or electric, is approximately 300 to 400 kilograms of plastic in solid form. That includes dashboards, door panels, seat foam, carpet, wiring insulation, and tires. Plastic burns at temperatures between 300 and 900 degrees Celsius, depending on composition. It burns fast and it produces thick, black smoke carrying toxic combustion byproducts including hydrogen cyanide, benzene, and dioxins. That is precisely what the footage from Shenzhen shows. The batteries added to that fuel load. They did not cause it. And in this specific case, the batteries involved were end-of-life and scrap units, some of which had been mechanically or electrically stressed through testing before being pulled from service. A compromised lithium-ion battery pack has a measurably lower thermal runaway threshold than a healthy one. Once ambient temperatures in the structure climbed past a certain point, battery involvement became not a risk, but a certainty. Thermal runaway in a lithium-ion cell is self-sustaining. Once initiated, it does not require external heat to continue. It generates its own heat. But the sequence matters. The structure's design made suppression impossible. The vehicle density guaranteed this heat rapid spread. The batteries accelerated what was already uncontrollable. Calling this a battery fire, as much of the coverage has done, is like calling a warehouse fire a sprinkler failure. That is technically adjacent, but structurally wrong. Here is the gap that this fire exposes, and why it matters far beyond one facility in Shenzhen. The electric vehicle industry is scaling at a pace that fire safety standards have not kept up with. The National Fire Protection Association currently recommends keeping damaged or end-of-life electric vehicles a minimum of 50 feet from other exposures and combustible materials. That guidance exists because the thermal runaway risk in a compromised lithium-ion pack is well documented, and the heat output, up to 1,000 degrees Celsius in a full runaway event, is sufficient to ignite adjacent vehicles even at distance. Stacking end-of-life electric vehicles by the hundreds in an automated tower structure is not 50 feet from exposure. It is 0 feet from exposure on every side, above and below. And here is the scaling problem. BYD produced over 1.76 million vehicles in 2025 alone. The global electric vehicle fleet is projected to exceed 300 million vehicles by 2030. According to the International Energy Agency, end-of-life electric vehicle batteries are already accumulating faster than recycling infrastructure can process them. Manufacturers, recyclers, and logistics operators worldwide are storing growing inventories of used, damaged, and scrap electric vehicle units. And there are no established international standards governing how those inventories are stored at scale. The Shenzhen fire is the first large-scale documented failure of this storage model. It will not be the last. The inventory problem is getting larger every quarter. The storage standards have not moved. A fire investigator reviewing the Shenzhen footage would recognize the signature immediately. Rapid vertical spread. Exterior-only operations. Total loss before containment was possible. A black smoke column visible from distance indicated a high plastic fuel load. These are not the signatures of a battery fire. They are the signatures of a structure that was never designed to survive an ignition event inside it. BYD's statement closed the story. The contractor was responsible. Batteries were not involved in the cause. Investigation complete. But the structure is still standing. The automated stereo garages at BYD's other facilities are still operating. The end-of-life electric vehicle storage problem is still growing. The fire codes that govern how those vehicles are stored have not been updated to reflect the scale at which the industry is now operating. What happened at 2:48 in the morning in Shenzhen on April 14th was not a freak event produced by one contractor's mistake. It was a preview. The ignition source will be different next time. Everything that happens after ignition will be exactly the same. The battery recycling infrastructure story, where end-of-life electric vehicle packs are going, who is storing them, and what the IEA projections for 2030 mean for the facilities holding them, is the follow-up this video is pointing toward. If you want that covered, say so in the comments. And if something in the BYD statement did not sit right with you when you first read it, drop what you think the real story is below. Because the gap between what the official explanation covers and what the fire footage shows is exactly the kind of signal this channel exists to read.